Okay, so here we are live and alive again. Welcome to everyone. Welcome to Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom Discourse. I am one of your hosts, Brother Devon, and I have my awesome co-host on this side. No, this side, right, this side. You see her here? This is Sister Charmaine. You see how she dressed?
Yes.
And I think she's Indonesia. She last week she was in Hawaii. I think it was
Paris.
Hawaii. It was Paris, right?
Yes.
Paris, right? And today we have her background. Lets us know she's in Indonesia, right? She will
Yes.
make sure and bring back some good tulam for us. Tulam and
Indonesia
Benibon.
has good to look. Okay. I will source some, definitely so. Good night, Brother Devon.
Good night, Sister Charmaine. How you doing?
I am blessed and yourself.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. You know, it's good. It's
Okay.
good for us to be here. We don't always come here every Saturday, but we try. We definitely
Yes.
try to come out every Saturday. So bless God for that. Sister
Yes.
Charmaine, we have a couple of persons joining us. So I see Sister Shelly on board. We have a new person, Sister Charmaine.
Yes. Good night, everyone.
Yeah, we have
Yes.
Sister Shelly and
I'll
we have a
look up
few persons
my
there with us.
phone.
So blessed love to everyone. Trying to juggle, multitask, and see different things. Folks, know that you could post your comments, post your questions, give your contributions on the topic as we journey. We should be here about an hour, maybe a little less, maybe a tiny more. I don't know for sure. We'll see how things flow. All right. But feel free to give your contributions, respectful, whether you agree or disagree. Well, you know, we have that space here, Sister Charmaine, where we, you know, encourage persons to disagree. You know, it's all for healthy conversation and so forth, right?
Yes.
So,
So
so, so,
true.
Sister Charmaine, we are doing this topic, and the topic, what, like I'm button my earphone, I'm a Jersey, what can I imagine that? Right? We have this topic entitled Emotionally Involved with Another While Married. Now, Sister Charmaine, that's not the fullness of the topic. That's just a snapshot of the topic. We have a little more. So I'm going to throw it over to you to add a little more and we'll get this ball rolling. So over to you, Sister Charmaine.
Okay. So, first of all, before we get into the topic, I just want to read a little thing here. All right, we're talking about emotionally involved with someone else, right? And I just want to give us some synopsis of what being emotionally attached is. In everyday conversation, becoming emotionally attached usually means that you are forming a meaningful bond. You are forming a meaningful bond to another person. Listen carefully here, and that if and that if the bond was broken, it will feel like a real and significant loss. The depth of the bond and the reason for it to be meaningful can vary greatly. But basically, it means I am sad if I lost this person. Coming out of that, they are saying if you're emotionally attached, if you're emotionally involved, it creates an attachment. And the attachment, they are saying, they liken it to how a mother is attached to maybe a caretaker in the first 3 years of a a child is attached to a caretaker in the first 3 years of its existence. Yeah, that kind of attachment. And they say the same thing goes on in the adult life. You will follow the same pattern where you become emotionally attached to other person's partners. Yes, they say attachment is defined more specifically as the process of starting to rely on other persons for emotional support or to feel a sense of safety and comfort. So I think I hope we get the gist of it. That is emotional, what it means to be emotionally involved and what emotions create then. That sense of attachment, that sense of belonging, that sense of comfort. You feel comfortable with the person. Now, what is love? Let's say love is everlasting. Love is everlasting. Attachment is transient. This is saying here, if you were truly in love, however, that person will always have a place in your heart if you truly love somebody, and you will continue to wish them well for the rest of their lives. If, on the other hand, you were merely attached to them, you will likely hold resentment after a breakup. So what they're saying there, they're trying to say that if you're truly in love with somebody, you will have them, you will hold them in high regards, you wouldn't bad, right? At the end of, let's say, a breakup, right? However, if you're just emotionally attached to them, you may have resentment. You may or may not, right? So they're trying to show, give that distinction between love and emotions. Brother Devon, get the ball running.
Yeah. Woo, that's a lot. So my mind is going just all over the place. Listen, we have to give a shout out to Sister Laz joining us and Brother
Good
Gavin
night,
joining
Sister
us.
Laz and
Yeah,
Brother Gavin.
yeah, good night, guys. And we must say love to everyone. See, Brother Gavin asked what we are talking about. We are talking, our topic is emotionally involved with another while married. So you're married, but you're emotionally involved with somebody else. It's already talking kind of bad, right? It's already talking kind of bad. But we're gonna talk about it. So Sister
Yeah.
Charmaine shared an explanation of what that emotional attachment. But I still have some questions. And we will discuss, Sister Charmaine and I will discuss, and you guys feel free to throw in your contributions. Sister Charmaine, with this subject, let's start off with this part before we delve even deeper still. Are we asking the question if it is a sin?
Yes, Brother Devon. Is it a sin? Is it right? Is it wrong? Is it a sin? and we try to define here what the emotional attachment, what the emotion, being emotionally involved is and what it causes.
So if I have an emotional involvement with somebody else, while I am married, then the question would be, am I committing a sin while being emotionally involved?
Yes.
But going back to the breakdown, and folks, let me say this. You see, these kind of conversations, these types of conversations are helpful to understand things clearly. We have a lot of things that people say, they run and they say this is right or this is wrong, but then they don't take the breakdown properly. The persons don't do a proper breakdown. So that's what we try to do here. We try to do a proper breakdown on things so that if you go to push your argument, positive or negative, at least you have solid footing. And then you might even wonder to yourself, like it happened to me, should I even argue that? Because like it's on both sides, it could be whatever subject you're dealing with, a particular subject. It could be taken either way. You know, some things are neither here or there. You know? So what do you do in that kind of situation? So let's get back to this. I am married and I have emotional attachment. So is this emotional attachment, Sister Charmaine, only directed towards the opposite gender, the opposite sex?
Yes, this is what we are speaking about. Yes.
Oh, all right.
Okay, so yes, because it's that is where it really the rubber hits the road, because you could be emotionally attached to your parents, to your siblings, and then there's no beef there, so to speak, unless it's interfering with your marriage, yeah.
Unless that is a different topic.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, we put that aside. Hopefully, we'll come back to that.
Park that up a little bit.
Park that. But I go back to part of the explanation you shared, where an emotional attachment can occur between an adult caretaker and an infant child. So we just breaking down things. So we make sure we put aside our barriers and everything. So there can be an emotional involvement between the child and the caretaker, but then it is understood that is not something sexual or sensual. And I think that's the major thing that comes to the opposite gender. Being able to say, okay, there's an emotional involvement, but then are all emotional involvement sensual or sexual? If we look at the example with the caretaker and the child.
Brother Devon, may I, but in 1 minute. So they gave that example of the caretaker and the child to show from babyhood how you could get attached to somebody. But what they are saying is that in your adulthood now, it grows into a relationship with the opposite sex, your partner. So that is where we want to focus. They were just showing how from a child, even a baby could get emotionally attached to the caretaker. Yeah, and they're showing that same emotional ability grows with you now, where you could be emotionally attached now to your partner or someone like that, in a romantic, well, I don't want to say romantic, but we could, yeah.
Okay, I am vibes in here, there are vibes in here. Okay, so looking at it as an adult to the opposite gender, the emotional involvement is if the person cares for me, I care for the person, and then if there's a separation between us, that let's say me now, I upset because there's the separation between us, because I want to maintain.
You hurt and the pain, you feel that pain then,
Right. Now, now this is it. I'm trying to refine it even more to say, okay, am I in pain because the person I cannot communicate with the person again? Am I in pain because um the person and I can still communicate, but we can't communicate on the same level as before? So let's say I'm communicating with a woman, and this particular woman, we rapping good, and she met a guy, and now we're not talking as much because she's giving the attention to her guy. I could see a concern there. I could see a serious concern because if I am bothered that she has a man and we no longer talk as much, I could see that being an issue. I could see that being a serious issue. I'm asking the question, I'm inquiring on, is it wrong for the person, male or female, that has the friend? Is it wrong for the person to miss someone, just simply to miss that person, to have that care for that person? Is that something that would be wrong? Let's talk to Sister. Go ahead.
But okay, so you're asking me the question if it's wrong.
Yeah. Give me
I
your
don't
views
know.
because I wait.
I really don't know.
would.
The thing is,
And guys,
it
as Sister
is
Shaman gives her contribution, Sister Shaman, just pause for a sec. As Sister
yeah,
Shaman gives her contribution, you guys feel free to drop your 2 cents because time passes here real fast, right?
yes,
Really.
yes,
So don't stick. I am only
yes,
talking with Sister Shaman because we are actually talking with one another, and she will
yes,
throw things at me. So when you all throw things, then we could think. So yeah, go
yes.
ahead, Sister Shaman.
So listen to this. Let me give a little, scenario. I have known persons, married persons, right? Actually, in discussion with them, told me that they are involved emotionally with somebody of the opposite sex, married, very married. However, they never had any physical, dealings with the person. Actually, one person, they never saw the person, but they're emotionally involved. And they had become so dependent on the conversation because the person apparently they just bond. They met at all levels. They could have had a conversation where even if they disagree, it was in an agreeable way. It was like everything they say, it was just a gelling. And they had no kind of I'm talking about sexual, nothing of the sort. But they had that bond and they were miles apart. Yeah. But the question is that a sin as a married person? Because you're hearing the words there, the person told me that the person was literally dependent, just as what the explanation say there. You become dependent, you miss the person. Hey, how you going? Something happened today on the job, or are conducting some business and something happened, and the person could throw out some ideas, and you could it's just somebody to talk with. No, sometimes it's so mind-boggling. I am thinking, but why you can't have that kind of a bond with your husband or your wife? You know what I am saying? So, I don't want to brand it off and just say, yes, that is sin. I really can't do that. But there are questions, one need to answer as to that kind of a connection and comfort. There's somebody, if they feel comfortable with each other, they could laugh, they could talk, somebody, they don't condemn each other and so on. They could just feel free. And I am thinking, wow, boy, this kind of emotional attachment to me, I find, it could get a little too deep Whereas now it could take away from the marriage, yeah, because now instead of you going to your husband or your wife to get that sort of attachment, there you are bonding with somebody else. So in that regard, I am saying one has to be careful in that regard. But to brand it and say that is an outright sin and you will go to hell because of that, I will not be so emphatic to say that. The Holy Spirit lives inside of all of us, and we will know when things getting a little too touchy and a little too, I need to look at, I need to pull back here a bit. Yeah. So that's my take on it, Brother Devon.
So Shaman, you did a fantastic job because you painted an even better picture for me. I don't know if I ever thought on this, the emotional involvement. I don't think I ever thought on, and I'm not sure. I think because my just I try to deal with the new thing that come and then the next thing comes behind that. So I'm so grateful for you bringing it up, and you giving the explanation because when you spoke about hearing persons say that they emotionally attached to somebody else, like something in my mind says, huh? Like something seems off with that. But then when it's explained in terms of you're able to be yourself with this person, I mean, to me, it's like there are a few people I really feel to be myself with, along with my wife. I am comfortable with. So I'm in the same path with you. I believe it's something that we have to be, careful of. But to brand it as sin, I can't brand it as sin. I could brand it caution, but sin, I'm in the same boat. Um, I think I do take seriously that factor of someone being able to communicate with a friend of the opposite gender while you're married and communicate in such a way that you feel so comfortable, but you're not able to do that with your spouse. And that question that you ask is so relevant. Why? How? Is it that you all, as a couple, you all never started that? Was that never a starting point or something that was dominant in your relationship? Because there are people like that wasn't a part of their relationship from the beginning. One person pretty much dominated the conversation, and all the conversation, other person was quiet. But because of let's say for example, just throwing this out, right? So let's say Stacy, you're using somebody. Stacy meets Bob. Stacy is an outgoing person. Stacy talks, and Stacy has friends, and Stacy would rap with her friends, and so on. And then Stacy meets Bob, very attracted to Bob, and there are some key things she, goes in the direction for Bob, towards Bob. But Bob is not much of a talker, not much. But she had friends she used to rap with. Now they courting and they reach the place to get married, but Bob is still not much of a talker. After they get married, Stacy talks with her friends, and some of them very close, regular. But Bob, he's still not talking much. So what are they to do? I think Stacy and Bob could work on improving their communication. And that's the reality, that there are people like that. But then there's the other dynamic where the couple would have been talking, they would have been having a good relationship, very healthy communication. But certain things may have happened and that communication dropped. And one or both of them start communicating with persons outside, their friends or whatnot. It could be platonic communication, or it could be things leading to infidelity, right? So I think those things need to really be taken, all those different dynamics need to be taken into consideration as to, what would one do in that particular situation. I'm communicating better with a friend outside than I'm communicating with my spouse. But does my spouse even want that type of communication? Is my spouse someone, he or she, who's more of a silent person? They prefer to hold a corner and you talk. I married you because I like to hear you talk. You go ahead and talk. So I think there are so many different factors that plays into it, but I 100% agree with you, Sister Shami. I think people, you need to be very careful because your attachment could have you can find yourself doing some things that you end up regretting later on, right? But just like taking out things specifically within that attachment, that involvement, taking out the parts that make up the involvement, to be able to laugh with someone, to be able to share things, to be able to get advice, to be comfortable with someone other than your spouse. I think it's normal. I think all those things are normal. I don't think anything is wrong with that. Um, because what I might find myself doing is saying the only person you could share anything with is your spouse. The only person you could laugh with is your spouse. The only person you could feel comfortable with is your spouse. And I believe there are a lot of persons who have had serious problems with that. They see their partners as that kind of dictator, that controlling. That's the word I'm looking for. You have a spouse that's controlling, that you can't have a life without your spouse. I can't have friends that I can talk cool with my friends. I can't, you know, share things and be comfortable with my friends. I could only have these things only with my spouse, right? So I could see what you shared earlier, Sister Shaman. I agree with it. I'm so cautious to call that a sin. I believe sin comes in when the emotions in terms of wanting to be with the person, that is when things become touchy. Let me bring you back in, Sister Shaman.
Yes. So the thing is, I see this concerning where, especially if the relationship, even if it's like boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance, or whatever, or spouse, if it is the couple does not have a quote unquote good relationship, and then if they find themselves emotionally attached to somebody of the opposite sex outside of that relationship, that to me could be concerning, because what it could tend to do is that, okay, you, especially if you're not married as yet, and don't have that bond with that person, but you have it with somebody else, listen, it could destroy the relationship. Even in marriage, if you're not strong enough, because, the person was telling me that, listen, I just have everything in this person. I could just talk with this person. I don't need to have that in the relationship. So you see how concerning it could become, right? You see how concerning. And I mean, we got to be aware that the enemy is subtle and very tricky, and unawares could creep in. So you see, I am just saying we need to be extremely cautious. We really and truly need to guard against that. However, I don't know if when people quoting and whatnot, especially when they just start quoting, you may even get jealous if it is your boyfriend or your girlfriend emotionally attached to somebody else and they always talking on the phone with this other person. I know that could cause problems in relationships. Well, how come you're always on the phone with this person? How come that well, that's my BBF, or, with the opposite? Come on. I know that could cause serious problems. Yeah. So it's not that sometimes that you want to be controlling, but familiarity. When you become familiar with somebody, the emotions start to run, and then the physical things may come in. Remember, it's human being you deal with it, and you have chemicals, flowing all the time. So we need to be so very, very, very careful. Yeah, Brother Devon. So it's something that, wow, if you have a strong relationship, whether it be marriage or girlfriend, boyfriend, fiance, whatever, and the both parties are strong and matured and they have no problem with you having some kind of attachment with the opposite sex, well then okay. But if you know that is not there, I think we need to guard against that in those particular scenarios. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree. I think Shelly has posted a comment. I'm not seeing the comment. Shelly, what you could do is post over your comments. I don't know if
She
YouTube.
probably deleted it. I don't
Yeah,
know.
probably. I don't know if YouTube took it off as well. I saw one of these settings was saying that it wasn't taking comments or something like that at the beginning. So I hope YouTube isn't stopping some of the conversations. All right, so but yeah, I wanted to hit this on all, Sister Charmaine. And I know you started us off with the opposite gender. I want to expand it a little bit if it's okay with you, right? I know that there is even the possibility of that emotional attachment occurring with the same gender, with your own gender, in terms of you having communication with your friend and some type of attachment occurs there as well. For guys who you want to be faithful to your spouse and you're not gonna have yourself looking suspicious or anything with any females. You might have some male friends that you're rapping with because many times people don't see the thing with the male with the same gender. You're not expecting your spouse to go for somebody with the same gender, or you're not expecting somebody of the same gender to come with your spouse. But several people have been surprised to find out. Thank God it hasn't happened to me. Bless God for that. Hope it doesn't ever. Right? But some people have been surprised to find out a friend be very much interested in them of the same gender. You know, be very, very surprised. Just the other day, I was talking to someone and the person was telling me about how a woman, you know, tell another woman, I really like you. I really, really like you. You know, one female saying to her next female. That conversation was had this week. This week. You know, so I see the attachment as something, or the involvement is something that we need to be careful on all grounds. On all grounds with all persons. We must be able to put up our position to say this is what I am going to allow and disallow. I think that touches on what you mentioned a little while. From the very beginning, what are we allowing in this relationship and what would we disallow within the communications we have with our friends? What are we going to allow and disallow? But I see Shelly has posted a comment. Sister Charmaine, you could probably read and comment.
You're going through a breakup. You're going through a breakup. They recommend you to a counselor, and next thing, boom, you are being hit on and they are married. I wonder if she mean being hit on by the counselor.
I believe so. I believe so. Go ahead, Mr. Charmaine.
Yeah, we see that happening over and over and over because why? Remember you sharing, listeners, human beings, whether counselor, whether a psychiatrist, psychologist, whoever, human beings you are dealing with and you sharing, especially if it's the opposite sex. I don't know if you have ever heard some pastors and leaders saying that they don't counsel the opposite sex alone without their husband or wife present. I don't know if you ever heard that. I find that is remarkable because attachments could happen. And just like in counseling, you go counseling now and you sharing your deep, intimate hurts and feelings and whatever with the counselor, and next thing you know, the counselor tracking you. I mean, so you see how the communication could create that emotional sort of attachment, and then from the emotions, because let me say something, how you got attracted to your spouse? Was it you got emotionally attracted first and then it went on to love? What was it?
Well, I would tell you, Sister Charmaine, for me, it was well, my eyes first, you know, I watch it, hey, you look good. Let me just be very honest, right? That was the first step. It was not the main step, but it was the first step. And then communication. That emotional, as you said, yeah, that was it. So go ahead, Sister Shan.
Yeah, so emotional, yeah. So therefore, even in counseling, as Shelly said, so we need to be very careful of who we going to for counseling, you know. So boy, this thing is a tricky thing, eh? And it is, as I said before, it is subtle. And the enemy could creep in unawares. And next thing you know, you catch yourself in a situation where you did not even plan or you didn't set out to be in. So we really have to guard our hearts, we need to guard our minds, we need to guard our space, and we need to, keep that line drawn. Don't try and don't go beyond a certain line because it happens. It happens and it could happen very quickly too. Yeah.
Yeah. So just to remind everyone what we are talking about right now, our subject is emotionally involved with another while married. So you are married to someone and then you find yourself emotionally involved, and we're trying to break down that to find out if it is a sin. Is it a sin to be emotionally involved with somebody of the opposite gender while you are married? From what we have discussed so far, is not that black and white. It's not that black or white. It's something that you have to tread carefully. So I can't say that somebody is committing a sin because they are having a conversation or they do have conversation with somebody of the opposite gender while they are married. I can't tell them that because I'm not in their heart. What that person has to do, and I'll carry to this particular text, and I'm in total agreement with Sister Charmin. Um, Scripture says, if a man looks upon a woman to lust after her in his heart, he has already committed adultery with her, right? So this is a heart issue, and no one, I'm not going to know what's going on in people's mind. I'm not going to know that unless you decide to tell me, unless you decide to act on your thoughts. I don't know. And it's something that I would be very careful of going and put any judgment on people. I would just like give you the advice, and you have to be in your own space to decide to know yourself and do what you need to do. I'll tell people this. I don't try to police nobody like. That is the thing. I could know different persons who are believers and so on and so on. And people might ask me, brother, when you believe they be faithful for this spouse? Dude, I don't know. I don't know that. I know about me, and I have to work on me being faithful to my spouse. You understand? Because I could be seeing several women and talking to several sisters, but I don't know what running through their mind. I could be talking to several brothers. Brothers could be talking to different sisters, and they could be thinking about all kinds of things. I am not there, and I'm not going to take that work on myself. That's God's job. That's
That's too much stress.
say it. You have to say it again, Sister Charmin.
Yes, it's too much stress, too much. You have your own things, your own mind to work on and to be thinking, yeah, boy, you see, I watching me talking in a particular way and he watching his sister in a particular way. Yeah.
Sister Charmin, I want to say this. I've had people ask me at times, what I'm thinking. What you think that person thinking? I don't know. I remember years ago, I used to think about what that person thinking about me or what that person thinking about that situation and so on. And so many times I have been wrong because I am not in the person's mind. And I think people do too much with in those areas. You try to think for somebody else. You are not the person. The person is clearly not you because you all do things differently on a general or daily basis. You all do different things differently. You like different things. You watch different things. You taste different things. You have different views and things. So you're not that person. So I see some people, Sister Charmaine, they stress themselves out about who think this about me, and when that person is thinking about somebody else, I'm like, why are you doing that to yourself? You are not God. Stop trying to be God. You be you. Work on being you, and that's a 24-hour job every day of your life.
Yes,
That's a 24-hour job. So
yes,
what people go through, what goes on in people's mind, I don't know. Yes, I might see a man watching a woman and he might be staring and I'll be like, I mean, come on, I might see that and I'll have that kind of response. And the same thing for women, because women stare down men. I spoke to a sister the other day and she spoke about herself and several other women seeing this particular guy and they're staring down the guy. So it happens on both sides of the fence. And the thing about it is, I don't know what's in your mind. You could be thinking all kind of things. So I'm not going to do myself that. I wouldn't encourage people to do that, right?
exactly.
Go
But
ahead,
you,
Sister Shaman.
yeah, but you know what? The particular scenario that I shared a while ago, and I admire these people for doing this. When they felt that it was getting too hot to handle, they actually broke off the communication. When I say not like enemies with each other, but they separated. Even though they weren't there every day talking and communicating and sharing, they actually broke it off. And I admire that. That is what we're talking about. So as matured individuals, they recognize, listen, something, I feel this will get out of hand. Same thing we were sharing just now. And they just said, listen, it's not that we are enemies, it's not that anything like that, but it just stop this communication every day and so forth and so on. And that is what we are saying. We have to be cautious. And if we feel it is getting too much, that we can't handle it, like we just totally dependent, well, not totally, but to a large extent dependent on this individual, we need to pull away. Yeah. So that was admirable of, that particular party. Very
Oh, I
admirable.
I commend them. I commend them. I want to add to what Sister Shaman said, and I agree with that. When your spouse tells you that they're noticing you're spending a lot of time with another person, and Sister Shaman even touched on this a little while, in a sense. You need to take that into serious consideration.
Yes.
Your spouse find you spending too much time. I'll mash some people corn, Sister Shaman. Watch me mash this corn, right? You know how I do that. I tend to upset people, but say what? People, you have to get accustomed to that. Let me mash somebody corn. If your spouse find you spending too much time with the pastor,
Yeah. Oh boy. Oh, ouch. Ouch.
some pastors go vex with that to them. Some pastors, if ladies, if your husband tell you, I find you calling pastor name real often in this house, madam, I wouldn't encourage you to
Pastor say, pastor say, pastor say.
listen. That's
Well, never
what.
know that simple thing broke out marriages, eh? Well, when I say broke, of course, persons to be unfaithful, eh? Husband to be unfaithful,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Because now you spending so much time with pastor instead of spending time with your spouse, and this is for both sides. This is not just
Yeah.
for the
Both
woman,
sides.
because there
Yeah.
are men. You always coming home, or you have to go to church. Pastor calling, pastor calling. Listen, and some pastors, they might get upset with me, but listen, the man first responsibility after God is his family. You understand? He has to take care of his wife and his family. So don't be putting work on the man if you have a male deacon or pastor, or, what have you. Don't be putting so much work on that person that they don't have time to spend with their family and it's rift in the house. You're causing rift in the people's house. You understand? I say I
Yes.
got mash up God. Go ahead, Sister
Yeah.
Charmaine.
Yes, I totally agree with that. And you know, you may want to give and don't give them a guilt trip to say this is the Lord's work you're doing and the Lord's work comes first. You know, that is so wrong and manipulative. Listen to me, really and truly. Some pastors, God bless their hearts, love them in the Lord, but they need to check that. You cannot be pulling people away from their family, you know, all the time. And listen, I know I have this friend, and boy, especially, I don't know, those some of these time quote unquote churches, living in church, listen, anytime and during the week, on a Sunday morning, Sunday evening, listen to me, holidays, right through in church until the husband started to get vexed. He said, okay, no problem. And he was unsaved, right? And so he couldn't be bothered. He started to go outside online. And that caused, I don't want to say that caused, it was in his heart, he drawn away by his own loss. But what I'm saying, it was, it was it facilitated him then to actually spend more time out there, because what I do in home alone and you never home. You know, it doesn't make sense. You never home, so I going out online with the boys and lining with the boys. Some girls will come in between and line with the girls in that way. So you see, we need to guard. We need to be very careful. But I think these days, many, you know, pastors and leaders recognize what has happened and they are telling you, look, the family comes first. You know, you put your family first because God is about family. Yeah. So I totally agree with you there, Brother Devon. Yeah.
Yes. And I'll say the same thing for me. Anybody that knows me well, depending on the level you know me, because I don't share a lot of things about myself in terms of even with ministry. Like if I go to work, I go to work. You realize I'm a Christian, well, you figure out that and we'll take it from there. But I keep a lot of things to myself. For those who know me, you know that ministry is the number one thing for me. As number one, you know, in terms of what I like to do. What I like to do is ministry stuff. But even though I like to do that, I love Sister Charmaine. There are times I love to be by myself. There are times I love to be with my family alone. Alone. Some people might vex with me. So you can't come by me every day. You see the times that we set aside to come then. Once in a blue moon, we might have a situation and you shoot my call or a message or whatever, and we can deal with that. And then we wrap up. But you're not going to catch me there right through. Comment by you or you comment by me every day. No, don't do that. We could have some problems. So and I believe it's needed. And as you said, Sister Shani, we have ministers realize that of nowadays time, and they letting persons know, hey, here what, the family is important. The family comes first. I have to take care of my family, and you have to take care of yours. You see, Sister Charmaine, I know it's in Trinidad. I can't speak for other countries because I don't know. But what I know about Trinidad is there are some churches. I remember the Catholic Church right now, a Catholic Church, an Anglican Church. I think a Pentecostal church comes to mind. Yeah, I believe a Pentecostal Open Bible Church comes to mind when it comes to being open during the entire week. Every day, the church open. And from what I understand, Sister Charmaine, and you probably could share some insight on this. What I understand is the church was open every day for the week to facilitate people who would want to come, spend some quiet time, pray, and whatnot. Right? Now, in that type of a setting, you don't necessarily need to have a minister there every day, per se. I put that in quotation. There may be a caretaker within the church there, but to say the pastor is coming every day and you're going to be thinking, it may not have that. Probably in some parts of the world, they have those things, probably in the Vatican or whatnot. I don't know. I'm not trying to promote any denomination. I'm going to make sure I say that from the beginning because I know people tend to go in there, those kind of thinking. Just giving examples to understand. But for me, if I don't have that structure, if I am to be a pastor and I have a church, if I don't have that massive structure where you have different people coming in and you're changing quote unquote shift, then I can't do that. I can't be there open every day. I have other things. I have work. I have washing a car, and I have bills to pay. I have a lot of work to do. Number one being my family. So yeah, I can't do that. And I think persons, they need to understand that when it is you come to church and you come to ministry and come to somebody that is helping you, you are not coming to take up all that person's time. Appreciate what you do get and take time for yourself and build yourself. Spend time with your family and build accordingly. Right? I'll bring in Sister Charmaine, but before I bring her back in,
Yes,
Sister Charmaine,
I agree. Seeing what Shelley says here.
yeah,
Said, I believe lusting is a big part in a marriage because we look at pretty things between the individuals, and trust is a big part also. We have to learn to separate time for everything. Yes, so she's saying here that she believes that lusting is a big part in a marriage. She probably is talking about lusting at the opposite sex, Um, so when she say a big part is something that we have to guard our heart against, lusting, because pretty things draw the eyes of the beholder. Yeah, everybody likes to look at a pretty thing. Yeah. So, and also, we need to develop trust. And again, I know a couple, and this couple, very outstanding. They have been married for how much years, boy? Ooh, wow, almost 44 years. And listen, they look at especially the husband will look, I mean, in my presence, I heard this already, will look at a girl and say, what a pretty young lady going there in front of the wife, and the wife has no problem with that. They trust each other like that. So you see, that kind of openness, that is remarkable to my mind. And this is what we talk about. If you're not matured in that area, well, that could cause real problems. Yeah. So I think, yeah, Shelley is right. That trust needs to be there, Brother Devon.
I
Yep.
agree. And I commend persons who are at that mature level to just be very open. If you see somebody look attractive, they look attractive, and you could say it. But knowing your partner, knowing if your partner able to hear that honest view, yeah, that's important. If your partner not able, then keep that to yourself.
Yeah, keep it to yourself. Keep it to yourself. You want peace in your house.
Yes. Your
I'm
peace,
going to say that now, that person gone that person's merry way, and now you, because of one little comment, is all kind of cold shoulder. Listen, you could do it all that. Wisdom is the principal thing.
Thank you. Thank you, Sister Charmaine. Thank you very much. Guys, we are getting ready to wrap up. So if anybody has any final comments, you feel free to throw it out. I want to say this as we are getting ready to close. I remember, Sister Charmaine, you were speaking earlier, and it triggered something. When I got married, there were a couple of my friends who understood that as I got married, we wouldn't be able to line as we lined before. We wouldn't be able to talk as we talked before. Not that we can't be friends, we can still be friends, but the interaction have to cut down a bit because I'm married. And they were respectful to my wife and to me, to not have any questions, jump up, to not have anything. And I would even say this, right? I already thank those friends. But I want to also say, when I have conversations with females, my wife knows. My wife knows about the women I talk with. When my wife, everyone who's listening, my wife knows Sister Charmaine here. You'll see this wonderful sister here. My wife knows this wonderful sister. So, we don't do things in secret. Yeah, that's right. We're on the same group together, as a matter of fact, WhatsApp. So you're not going to see me doing things behind my wife back in terms of, things like that. And even when I have conversations with females, my wife will not walk in the room. I talking to her sister, and then you hear my voice drop. That's not going to be happening. I'm going to talk at the same level. You understand what I'm saying? My wife has the access. She can pick up my phone, Sister Charmaine. I
Yes,
don't
sir.
have I don't have any passcode for my phone. You know. So that if my
Exactly.
wife pick up my phone, she can't get access to all the female names. She can access all. I have no secret account. I don't have no secret this and that. And you know, I create that kind of atmosphere whereby even though I will have communication with females, just as I have with male, my wife can access everything. Everything, any day, anytime, Sister Shan.
Yes, and that's how it's supposed to be, Brother Devon. That is commendable, very commendable. Yes. So, Brother Devon, I'm looking at the time here.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
think we have come to the end of our little session.
Yes,
Yes, I
yes.
think
I'm
it was
seeing
interesting.
I
Somebody
I,
said
I
something.
I see one final comment. I think Shelly gave us her final comment. Probably we could read that and then we can wrap up. Go ahead, Sister Shan.
Yes, when you are open, it brings a trust, honest and honesty. It builds your relationship stronger. Hit the point, hit the nail on the head there, Sister Kelly. When you're open, when you have that trust and that honesty, it will build the relationship and bring it stronger, just as you were saying, Brother Devon. So we totally agree with that. Yeah?
Beautiful. Folks, we
Thank
want to
you.
thank you for
Yes.
joining us. And we want to thank our newest member. All right. So Shelly, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are here, just to let persons know, we are here sporadically because both Sister Shamin and I are extremely busy. Extremely. So once you keep subscribed, click the like button if you'll be so kind for those who are watching and listening. And you keep what's the thing? The notification. You have your notifications turned on. You should get a notification where we when we go live. I've heard, Sister Charmaine, though, that some fellow YouTubers, when they go live, persons have not received the notification. So I don't know. That's on YouTube side. So we have very little we could do about that. But what you guys could do is look on our Facebook account, Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom Discourse, and we would post up when we are going live on YouTube, which is mostly on Saturday around
Yes.
this time. All right. So
Yes.
thank you for joining. Thank you for giving your contributions,
Thank
Sister
you, guys.
Kelly.
Yes.
Thank you, Sister Charmaine. And guys, we
Yes.
wish you a wonderful